Christianity was adopted as state religion in Armenia, first in the entire world in 301. Following that, also churches and monasteries were built in Artsakh, and obviously throughout centuries Armenians were persecuted, and the persecutions continued up to this day. And this recent situation in Nagorno-Karabakh, in Artsakh, can be described in one word as ethnocide, as another genocide perpetrated against the Armenians. And this genocide is perpetrated not only on human beings, but also on cultural heritage of Artsakh. This shows that, and all the acts of destruction caused by Azerbaijan show that Azerbaijan is trying to remove all kinds of Armenian traces from Nagorno-Karabakh. Yes, indeed, the church of Shushi, All Saviors Church in Shushi, is defaced at the moment. You won't recognize the church.
Welcome back to Orthodoxy page and Pan Orthodox Round Table. Today, for our 6th episode of our round table, we are focusing Artsakh, crisis in Artsakh and its after effects in Armenia and Armenian Apostolic Orthodox Church. For the same, we are really excited to have official representative of Armenian Orthodox Church, Mother See of Holy Archimandrites with us. We all like to welcome Archimandrite Garegin for this particular interview. Before going further into the main part of this interview, we really like to request Archimandrite to introduce yourself to our viewers.
Thank you very much. Firstly, thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak to your audience and to present the issues in regards to the situation around our cultural heritage of Nagorno-Karabakh, and also the situation, overall situation. I am Father Garegin Hambardzumyan, as was mentioned already, representing the Mother See of Holy Archimandrite, and I am the head of the Department for Preservation of Cultural and Spiritual Heritage of Nagorno-Karabakh here in Holy Archimandrite. And the department was established in 2020, just in the aftermath of the war, 44 days devastating war. And the main goal of establishing this department was to secure the preservation of the cultural heritage of Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh.
Thank you, Reverend Archimandrite, for that introductory notes. Let's go deep into the topics that we are going to discuss in this particular episode of Pan Orthodox Round Table. The rich Armenian heritage in Artsakh is in the situation of complete destruction, or in other words, the church is going to lose many of those historical, cultural remains. We like to know how Artsakh is historically and spiritually significant or important for Armenian Apostolic Orthodox Church.
Well, thank you for the question. Obviously, Artsakh has been a homeland, has been historically part of the historical Armenia throughout thousands of years. Armenians have lived in Artsakh for thousands of years, and they have created their own culture and their own customs and life. And when Christianity was adopted as state religion in Armenia, first in the entire world in 301. Following that, also churches and monasteries were built in Artsakh, and one of the saints of the Armenian Church, Saint Gregory, who was the grandson of the establisher of the Armenian Church, Saint Gregory the Illuminator, the first patriarch, actually not the establisher, but the first patriarch of the Armenian Church. His grandson, Saint Gregory, established the church in Artsakh. And since then, Armenians have created marvelous monasteries and churches and chapels, and they have carved very characteristic for the Armenian culture crossstones, as we call them, khachkars in Armenian. And and they just simply lived in Artsakh for millennia. And obviously, throughout centuries, Armenians were persecuted, and the persecutions continued up to this day. So the value of Artsakh for the Armenians is immense, is vast, and the value of Artsakh for the Armenian Church is equally very important.
OCP was in front line to report on recent issues in Artsakh that started in 2020. We have also seen recently that Armenians were driven out from their motherland, which led to humanitarian crisis. What are the impacts of recent events in Artsakh to the Armenian community and to the Armenian Apostolic Orthodox Church?
Thank you. Well, you know that only 3 million Armenians live in Armenia, and more than 7 million Armenians live outside Armenia. So we have a worldwide Armenian community because of the genocide, mainly because of the genocide of 1915, and people had to flee, had to leave their homeland, historical homeland, and find refuge in various countries around the world. And this recent situation in Nagorno-Karabakh, in Artsakh, can be described in one word as ethnocide, as another genocide perpetrated against the Armenians. And this genocide is perpetrated not only on human beings, but also on cultural heritage of Artsakh. So more than 120,000 Armenians, including 30,000 children, had to forcibly had to leave their ancestral homeland. They had to leave their homes, their schools, their cemeteries of their ancestors, and just, in a matter of a couple of days, they had to flee their homeland. This was obviously caused by Azerbaijan, and Armenians of Artsakh were put to starvation for almost 9 months, and there was no food, no medical supplies, nothing, pure devastation. And following this, just in a matter of a few days, the checkpoint was opened, the unlawfully established checkpoint at Hakkari bridge was opened, and Armenians, the entire population of Nagorno-Karabakh, had to leave their ancestral homeland, and they found refuge here in mainland Armenia. The situation caused by this exodus is obviously very difficult. Armenians of Artsakh are trying to, in a way, to find normal pace of life, but it's really difficult because the customs, the tradition, and the culture, and everything that they are used to was in their own Artsakh, and now they're torn apart from their ancestral homeland, and they are here in Armenia. Obviously, Armenia is their homeland too, but all these people, all the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh, are in a very difficult situation at the moment. So the situation is very, very difficult, and we look for the more involvement of the worldwide community, international community, to solve various issues.
Thank you. In addition, we also like to know how Armenian Church is addressing these issues and crises, as the majority of the world is neglecting these issues, these crises. like to hear about the initiative taken by the church to make awareness, and also like to know about future plans from the side of the church to address these issues.
Well, as in the case of all kinds of losses, the first phase is the shocking phase, and I think the shock is there, amongst the community who had to flee their homeland, amongst the community who is receiving all these people from Nagorno-Karabakh, and the church, in fact, has never separated itself from the population, from people. So the Armenian Church, okay, as an institution, as just clergy, is doing its best to provide to the needs of Nagorno-Karabakh population by all kinds of humanitarian aid and etc., by providing shelters to hundreds of families, by providing food on daily basis and other kinds of supplies. But in the meantime, the church is in a state of shock at the moment for its sons and daughters who are deprived of their homes now. And the future plans are obviously to foresee the presence of the Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh. So for the first time, Armenians are not in their ancestral homeland in Nagorno-Karabakh. And this situation must be addressed. Unfortunately, the Armenians, by their own strength, are not capable at the moment to address this issue. But we, as I already mentioned, we strongly rely also on our friends around the world, as in this case, we're having this interview. And this shows that there is a sense of solidarity amongst the international community, and we are hopeful that this will provide possibilities to the Armenians and to the church to address certain issues. The church is continuing to provide spiritual nourishment and pastorship to the people. The Diocese of Artsakh hasn't been dissolved, hasn't been annulled. The diocese will continue operating, and the clergy, the primate, will continue to operate, and they will provide to cater the spiritual needs of the Armenians of Artsakh who are here in Armenia now. So the church itself is in a very difficult situation, but thank God we don't rely only on our strength, but we rely on the strength and power that is given to us by God. And we strongly believe that our own historical experience has shown us that, we're always able to rise from these difficulties, and God is there to provide us strength and support in this mission.
Of course, Armenian community is known for rising, rise up from the ashes, and we have seen this multiple times in the history. And we believe that Armenian community will be able to survive the present crisis and present situation as they have survived from their past crisis too. In the last week, we were really happy to hear the news of Church of Cyprus representatives visiting Holy Hambardzumyan and announcing their support towards the initiatives of Armenian Apostolic Orthodox Church. We like to know how other Orthodox churches are collaborating with Armenian Church, and how they are supporting initiatives and plans from the side of Armenian Church.
Yeah, thank you so much. Definitely the issues are complex, and we are dealing here with humanitarian catastrophe. We're dealing with the issue of preservation of cultural heritage, the issue of the release of prisoners of war, the kidnapped people who are in the prisons of Baku. So really the ways that we are interacting with the sister churches and the international community in this respect varies. And We have been very, very closely in touch with our sister churches, the Oriental Orthodox family of the churches, and we have received voices of support from all our churches, and this is something that gives us warmth. And also from worldwide Christian community. For instance, in 2021, just a year after the war, we initiated a great conference here in Holy Etchmiadzin dedicated to preservation of cultural heritage, and representatives of all the Christian sister denominations, sister churches were here in Holy Etchmiadzin, as well as from your church as well. And and obviously, the General Secretary of the World Council of Churches was here, and the President of Conference of European Churches, and the President of the National Churches of America, and many others, to name. And these people came here to show their support. And following this event, we were able to organize various kinds of events around the world, in Austria, in Russia, in America, in Germany, and it continues. This shows that there is this common sense of solidarity. And another example that you've just mentioned, the example of the Church of Cyprus and the visiting of the hierarch to His Eminence, to Armenia, with his support, and this definitely gives us strength. And we are expecting, sometimes we hear, something is happening in India, or another thing is happening in, I don't know, Syria or elsewhere, and the church is suffering, or in Egypt. But we are so much preoccupied with our own issues and matters, in our own countries, that sometimes we feel, well, it will be resolved. But actually, we should know that people are expecting us to be more involved, to be more encouraging in this respect. So it depends. I think it all comes down to human interactions. And as Jesus taught us, it shouldn't be only institutionalized, but it must come from heart. When it comes from heart, it's just a support, and sometimes just a phone call, sometimes just an email, or a visit is enough to show this support and to receive the support. So and we have received, in fact, we have received all kinds of support throughout these years, and especially since 2020. And we're very, very thankful to all those who have been showing the support.
Of course, we have seen similar patterns of supports in the cases or during the crisis that the Orthodox world faced in Ethiopia, Egypt, or even in the case of Syria. And all these stands as evidences of unity between sister and Oriental Orthodox churches and the whole Christian world. So now we are coming into the last part of the round table. As we heard from you that you are in charge of preserving cultural heritage of Armenian Orthodox Church, we recently saw images of Sushi Cathedral being defaced. Through the social media, we also saw Azerbaijani armed forces shooting directly on stone crosses and monasteries. We believe that the list of destruction that's done by Azeri forces are much larger than those mentioned or seen through social medias. We like to know about steps taken by the church, particularly in documenting these destructions, defacement, and I don't know what other words can be used to this brutal authoritarian acts from the side of Azeri forces. And we also believe that the documentation will make us to understand how wild these destructions were carried out against historical monuments. Particularly, we like to hear about Sushi Cathedral. We even heard that the authorities are planning to convert the cathedral to a mosque. We like to know whether these are fake news, or are they the real ground realities?
Well, The churches of Artsakh are like a passport of Christian Armenian identity, thousands of years. And apostles went there, and our church fathers lived there and established monasteries and churches. Amongst them is the cathedral in Shushi and Dadivank, Amaraz, Ganzasar, Gitchavank, Tizernavank. Just to name a few, we have about 6,000 names of cultural heritage in Nagorno-Karabakh as a result of this last September invasion of Azerbaijan. And this shows that, and all the acts of destruction caused by Azerbaijan show that Azerbaijan is trying to remove all kinds of Armenian traces from Nagorno-Karabakh. Yes, indeed, the church of Shushi, or All Saviors Church in Shushi, is defaced at the moment. You won't recognize the church, as in the case of various other churches. Sometimes they speak that there should be peace, etc. But then a few days after, a video comes, into media, and we see how an Azerbaijani soldier is shooting. For instance, the very latest one was in September 2023, when an army soldier was just targeting a 13th century Charektar monastery. So this basically gives us, the hints as to what Azerbaijani policy is in regards to Armenian Christian heritage of Nagorno-Karabakh. When we speak about this cultural heritage, we don't like to present this heritage as purely only something that belongs to the Armenians. It belongs to all Christians around the world, because it's a heritage that goes back to thousands of years. And as we have so much in common with your church and with so many other churches around the world, so we share this common Christian heritage, and we all together, all of us, are concerned about this, heritage, or Christian heritage and traces. Unfortunately, we have very sad experience of the past. We have the very sad experience of Nakhichevan, which is an autonomous republic within Azerbaijan currently. In Soviet times, there were more than 40% of population were Armenians. You won't find a single Armenian now who lives in Nakhichevan. There were thousands of khachkars and hundreds of churches. You won't find a single church and a single khachkar there. In the case of Julfa khachkars, nearly 7,000 khachkars were destroyed in 2006 and 7. And they were just marvelous, expressions of art, of culture. And we have just a few survived examples here in the Mother See that were brought during the Soviet times to Holy Archimandrite, and a few are in various other countries. So having had this very difficult experience from Nakhichevan, we're pretty sure that the same will happen here in Nagorno-Karabakh as well, in Artsakh as well. And we invite international community, relevant organizations with whom we are always constantly in touch, the UNESCO, and various other organizations, UN, special rapporteurs, and etc., and also our sister churches, to be more active, to voice these issues, and as in this case of this interview, and various other initiatives, I think, should be done to stop Azerbaijan, to put pressure on Azerbaijan to stop from defacing the identity of Nagorno-Karabakh.
In the historical records of Armenian genocide, we have seen similar destructions to the rich heritage of Armenian culture and the Armenian Church. On the other side, we have read about programs that were conducted in Baku in the end of the 20th century that really made another exodus, another huge exodus from the territory of Azerbaijan to other parts of the world, and particularly to Armenia. We were also really happy from the other side of the world, from Finland, when we saw positive notes or positive experience about the unity and about the growth of Armenian communities in non-traditional areas. So recently we heard from Helsinki where Finnish Orthodox Church or the Finnish Church in Helsinki installed a stone cross, Armenian stone cross. And we were really blessed to show those images where Archbishop Leo of Helsinki and all Finland was inaugurating and blessing the new installed stone cross with the hierarch of Armenian Orthodox Diocese. These, of course, these are the positive vibes or positive experiences that we are seeing in between all these intense, heartful time. We believe that the world need to give better focus and need to understand the crisis faced by the Armenian community who were persecuted in the past and who are still being persecuted. Once again, we are really happy to have you, Archimandrite, for this particular episode of Roundtable, our 6th episode of Pan Orthodox Round Table. We like to thank Armenian Apostolic Orthodox Church, the Mother See of Holy Artsakh, for allowing us to feature you and feature the issues from Armenia and Artsakh in this particular episode of Pan Orthodox Round Table. We like to see similar collaborations in the future too. And we believe that this will be helpful for people from different parts of the world who are really tuning in to know more about the issues in Artsakh and Armenia. Before concluding the whole interview, so let's hear the concluding words from Reverend Archimandrite.
Thank you very much. I also want to thank you for this opportunity to share with you thoughts and emotions about cultural heritage of Artsakh and the situation in regards to the exodus of the population of Artsakh. And you're quite right. We need to experience first the beauty of this heritage. We need to understand what cultural heritage of Artsakh is to be able to appreciate it. And I think that future initiatives can also include introductions to heritage of Artsakh, to know the history of certain churches, monasteries, manuscripts, traditions, history, etc., etc. And this will give us more understanding and appreciation for this heritage, and we will perhaps consider as our own cultural heritage too. So thank you so much, and I thank you and your organization for this opportunity, and I hope for our future collaboration too.
Thank you. Once again, we like to thank all our viewers who tuned into the 6th episode of Pan Orthodox Round Table, and for your interest to know more about what's happening in the Orthodox world. See you all soon with another episode of Pan Orthodox Round Table. Thank you.